Hey fellow Dragon Ball fans, on today's Dragon Ball information video we'll be talking about the Kaioken technique, also known as the Kaioken in the original Japanese. I'm used to saying Kaioken, so I hope you'll excuse me if you're unused to it. This is a video very near and dear to my heart because it's been my favorite technique in Dragon Ball since I saw it, and that was back in the 90s. But let's get down to it. Also known as Fist of the King of the Worlds, World King Fist, or King Kai Fist, the Kaioken technique was devised by King Kai himself, notable for its distinct crimson aura. When utilizing it, the technique essentially doubles one's power and speed in a short burst of raw energy. One might say it's a lesser stepping stone to a transformation like Super Saiyan. However, unlike Super Saiyan, the Kaioken also enhances your senses such as smell, hearing, eyesight, and speculatively even touch and taste. However, much like we speculated with being able to transform into Super Saiyan in the last video, once you reach a certain threshold of power, you can multiply the Kaioken to higher levels. It is an incredibly difficult technique to master, and just as difficult to keep under control. Unlike most other techniques, the Kaioken could easily harm the practitioner. It should not be equated to something like Super Saiyan 3, where it merely gives the user fatigue and potentially even draining life energy, although I will say that Kaioken certainly does fatigue the user, it's just not the main danger. The Kaioken, by contrast, is not a transformed state of your body can grow used to. It is a dangerous enhancement, and overusages or trying to utilize it in higher forms can literally rip your muscles apart. The anime gives an accurate look at Goku experiencing muscle spasms, and he's so close to being pushed to his body's limit that Yajirobe, who was at most a fifth of Goku's strength at that time, can cause Goku great pain with a friendly slap to the back. Now, of course, if you are of a higher power level, you are better able to handle Kaioken, but it is still something you must not take lightly. The highest form of Kaioken seen in the series was Goku using the Kaioken times 20 against Frieza. It is interesting, if you read the manga, you get the feeling Toriyama never had a set hair design for the Kaioken technique. There are two distinct times when Goku uses Kaioken, and his hair stands up, as it does in his Super Saiyan transformation. Once when Goku's powering up for Ginyu, and when Goku goes times 20 against Frieza. However, when Goku is using times 10, or when he's using any multiplier of Kaioken when battling Vegeta, his hair looks as it usually does in base form. Like as not, Toriyama drew Goku with his hair standing up in those two instances to showcase he was more powerful than the previous ones. But considering both are also displayed on Namek, it almost feels like he was practicing for drawing Super Saiyan, even though Toriyama does not really plan ahead. So I mean it as an unplanned bit of practice. Maybe he liked the design or something. In the series, only Goku is confirmed to have mastered it properly, meaning the Kaioken technique. Even its inventor, King Kai, cannot utilize it effectively. Kaioken is also notable for being one of the few techniques you can use effectively with other techniques. Famously, Goku used both the Kaioken times 4 and the Kamehameha wave to defeat Vegeta's Gallic Gun in their first battle on Earth. Many fans of the series over the years have speculated the Kaioken would be a great technique to be learned by other characters, considering Goku in the latter half of the series relied on his Super Saiyan forms and fusion to be able to fight the villains. This seems like a reasonable request, even considering the difficulty in learning it. Despite Goku learning from Roshi, Korin, Kami, and King Kai first, the students that followed after him often not only learned the same lessons, but often did so faster. However, King Kai's techniques seem to have been either too difficult or too radical to learn by Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, or Piccolo, even though it's most likely Piccolo was not around long enough to even get the chance. However, there is good evidence that suggests Goku might not be the only user to learn the technique. During their arrival on King Kai's planet, Ten Shinhan has a small moment of inner dialogue with himself, stating he plans on learning King Kai's techniques like Goku while putting his own, quote, spin on them. One would think all of them having arrived would have similar ambitions, but Tien was given his own personal panel for a brief moment. Also, later on King Kai's planet, while Goku is fighting Frieza, Tien speculates that Goku should be able to go Kaioken times 10 while he's fighting Frieza based on his current power level. Now, the only way Tien would know about that is knowing Goku's power level and knowing something about the Kaioken technique. So it really feels like Toriyama is hinting things for Tien here. And now, cut to much further in the series, and we find Ten Shinhan stepping in after Piccolo's supposed death and vowing to halt Semi-Perfect Cell from gaining completion with Android 18. It's at this moment he performs the Neo Tri-Beam, or Shin Kikoho, an evidently much more powerful version than any other Tri-Beam we had seen in the series. We are never given details on how Tien managed to multiply the Kikoho's power so much, but it's not out of the question that Tien took the Kaioken technique and learned how to incorporate it with the Tri-Beam, which would coincide with what he said that he'd put his own spin on things. Somehow, it would be unlike Goku using the Kaioken with another technique like the Kamehameha, as Tien's technique was an altered form of the Tri-Beam or Kikoho, rather than merely adding them together, while adding it using Kaioken. However, I think whatever Tien did made it that much more potent than even adding the two together. So I think it's not out of the question to speculate that Tien probably learned either the basics of Kaioken or learned the technique in general while he's on King Kai's planet, and he utilized it to make the Neo Tri-Beam or Shin Kikoho. Now, of course, this is all speculation, but I did not want to make the video without adding in some food for thought. Also, fun fact, in the 1991 Weekly Jump, on the fold-out poster at the front of the issue, it states that Goku's false Super Saiyan transformation against Lord Slug in Movie 4 is actually Kaioken times 100, which means it's a possibility that false Super Saiyan is just an uber multiplier from Kaioken. I personally don't subscribe to that idea. It has a few problems, not only because it's in one poster in a non-canon movie, and it's also not in the movie's theatrical pamphlet or any manga adaptation, nor is it in the Daizenshu or any other relevant guidebook. It's also not in any other Weekly Jump or in the Kanzenshu archives. So it seems to be a scan that makes a claim that has no real basis, but considering it is from a Jump poster, it's neat to know that it could potentially be what Goku's doing in the movie to fight off Slug. Lastly, while I don't intend to make any Dragon Ball Super content, it would be remiss of me not to mention the anime brought the Kaioken technique back, as Goku often used it with Super Saiyan Blue before he could use Ultra Instinct. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, subscription, or a comment if you have thoughts. Okay, thanks guys.